For 50 years, his hands bled without stopping. Doctors examined them again and again. No one could explain what they saw. You're listening to The Pilgrim's Lantern, true stories from the history of the Catholic faith, told slowly for the hours before sleep. Make yourself comfortable. Tonight's story begins in southern Italy in the year 1887. The village of Pietrelcina sits in the hills of Campania, not far from Naples, an ancient place of narrow streets and stone houses, where farmers grew wheat and olives and grapes, and where the church bell marked the hours of the day. Francesco Forgione was born there on May 25, 1887, the fourth of 8 children. His family was poor, like most families in those hills. His father crossed the Atlantic twice to work in America and send money home. From the beginning, Francesco was different. His mother later said that as a small child, he spoke of seeing a radiant figure standing at the foot of his bed. He thought this was normal. He assumed every child saw the same thing. He had visions. He had suffering that no doctor could explain. He felt called clearly and early to the priesthood. At 15, he entered the Capuchin order and took the name Fra Pio, Brother Pio. He was ordained a priest in 1910 at the age of 23. For the next 8 years, he served quietly in various Capuchin houses, often ill. His lungs so weak that his superiors worried he would not survive. He had what appeared to be stigmatic marks, wounds corresponding to the wounds of Christ. They would come and go without explanation. On September 20th, 1918, they came and did not go. He was praying alone in the choir of the little church of Santa Maria delle Grazie in San Giovanni Rotondo. He had been kneeling before a crucifix for hours. What happened next he described reluctantly. Only when pressed by his superior, a light appeared, a figure, and then a pain, sudden, total, in his hands, feet, and side. When the other friars found him, he was on the floor. The wounds were real, open, bleeding. Padre Pio had received the Stigmata, the 5 wounds of Christ's Passion. He was the first stigmatized priest in the history of the Church. He would carry those wounds for 50 years. Doctors examined them repeatedly. The wounds never became infected. They did not close. They did not widen. Specialists came from across Europe, skeptics, scientists, Vatican investigators, and none of them could explain what they saw. He wore fingerless gloves to celebrate Mass and to hear confessions. He changed them frequently. The blood never stopped. When asked about the pain, he said he feared not the wounds themselves, but dying before he had done enough. People began coming from everywhere, not to see a spectacle, or not only that. They came because of what happened in the confessional. Padre Pio had a gift. Those who confessed to him reported that he knew things they had not told him, sins they had kept hidden for decades, specific details of specific acts. A woman came to confession and began to speak. Padre Pio interrupted her. He told her to go home, pray, and come back when she was ready to say everything, not just the things she had planned to say. She left. She came back 3 days later and made the most honest confession of her life. Lines formed outside his confessional that stretched hundreds of meters. People waited days, sometimes weeks. A priest from Germany spent several days in line. When he finally reached the confessional, Padre Pio greeted him in German and addressed him by name. He had never met him before. He did not speak German. The Vatican grew concerned. Twice during his life, Padre Pio was forbidden from public ministry, ordered to stop saying Mass publicly forbidden from responding to letters. Both times the orders were eventually lifted. He accepted each restriction in silence. When his spiritual director asked how he bore it, he said simply, "I am a son of obedience." In 1940, in the middle of the Second World War, Padre Pio began collecting money for a hospital. People thought he was being unrealistic. There was no money. There was no building. There were bombs falling on Italian cities. He pressed on. He wrote letters. He accepted donations. He found an architect. He gathered a small group of supporters and they began work on a hillside above San Giovanni Rotondo, the Casa Sollievo della Sofferenza, the home for the relief of suffering, opened in 1956. It is now one of the largest hospitals in Italy, with over 1,000 beds, a cancer research center, and a blood bank that serves the entire region. It treats hundreds of thousands of patients each year. When the Pope wrote to congratulate him on the opening, Padre Pio replied that it was not his hospital. It was the house that suffering built, he said, because the suffering of the sick was the price that had purchased it. On September 22, 1968, the 50th anniversary of his Stigmata, Padre Pio celebrated Mass for a crowd of thousands. His voice was steady. His face was calm. The wounds on his hands were visible. The next morning, September 23rd, shortly after midnight, he asked one of the other friars to hear his confession. He renewed his religious vows. He asked forgiveness of everyone he had ever offended. He said the names of Jesus and Mary, and then he died. He was 81 years old. When his body was prepared for burial, the doctors made a note that would be discussed for decades afterward. The wounds were gone. After 50 years of continuous bleeding, the open, visible, medically inexplicable wounds, every trace had disappeared. The skin was smooth and unbroken. There was no explanation given. There has been none since. He was canonized on June 16, 2002, before a crowd of 300,000 people in St. Peter's Square. Pope John Paul II wept during the ceremony. Above his confessional in San